Your senior issues and instruction, we should not see any sign of insubordination on the field of campaign. So they live their lives. You can't quite understand the soldier. I didn't understand my brother after he returned from the Defense Academy, and he became a second lieutenant. God rest his soul. You know, he became a different human being. So let's not try to understand soldiers. Let's just wish them well. But let me say this. You see, soldiers are still human beings at the end of the day. So I want to know how much you have prepared a soldier. A general is still a soldier. It's only hierarchy that gives him that, label. How much you have prepared him for life after retirement. Many Nigerians are, I don't know whether this man talking is not one of them, are victims of not preparing well for retirement. So it matters how much we have prepared these generals. Let them issue their directives. Let it continue to uphold the feeling of esprit de corps, camaraderie, and all that. But please, it matters what we are doing to let our generals retire into relative comfort and less panic. I was talking to a retired admiral, and he said, Chukudi, when you hear us come with the sirens and all that, you think that people who are perhaps next to God have passed. But actually, when people retire and that siren is no longer wailing, some of the generals suddenly find out that life is so different that it shakes them and begins to introduce some problems into their lives. So I'm very serious about how much are we preparing these generals for life after retirement. We'll always wish our men, in uniform well, whatever the case is. To the president's speech and the policies of the monarchs of Igbaland and Ijabode, he is saying that these are baby steps of pain. I'm becoming jealous. I like his diction. It's not just that this man is known for measured tones in public speaking. We tell you that measured tones drive the message home. I remember a BBC line when the Ferrari manufacturer died. The person who put that wonderful car on the road. Fabled Italian car maker Enzo Ferrari is dead. I like the rise and fall and all that. The president, when he speaks, has a tendency to accentuate things. I like him. Those of us who speak fast and all that sometimes actually like the way he lands his messages. But beyond syntax, semantics, and style, the president could make all these speeches, talk about baby steps of pain. Let him still remember that is riding on the goodwill of Nigerians. And the indications I get from even the common man are to his favor, in his favor. People are saying, it be like say this man know what he come do for here. How you start matters, gentlemen. Look at the actions he has undertaken. It is bolstering confidence in him by Nigerians and all that. So what we ask is, Mr. President, these pronouncements which are coming, and we wish you well as you undertake the job of taking us out of the doldrums. Please make sure that sincerity accompanies all this. Yeah. Because after some time, anyway, it's not going to be a business as usual and all that. Nigerians might begin to get skeptical. Yeah, I pray that the president uses good opportunity.
We also need to introduce some caution. Because you see, for instance, the headline at the foot of the front page of the Punch newspaper said subsidy removal. FG, which stands for Federal Government, saves 400 billion naira in 4 weeks. The subsidy was not being paid by the federal government alone, but by all 3 tiers of government: federal government, state government, and local governments. So you cannot say that federal government has saved 400 billion, because at the end of that saving, you demand accountability. So you don't just say, federal government, how did you spend 400 billion naira that you saved in 4 weeks? This is money for the federation. as it were, federation, and that incorporates the 3 tiers of government. That's why I say that it's important to enter this kind of caution. It is governments. At the end of the day, accountability should also be demanded of the governments that will be the beneficiaries of the savings. And as you are making the savings, of course, the expectation would be that the governments will not fritter them on increased cost of governance. I think these are critical points to note. Governance, increased cost of governance. We were discussing flood control, mitigation, and management yesterday, and states are unprepared. Some states have taken positive steps, a number of states are unprepared. And when disaster strikes, it is citizens that suffer.
That's it.
And part of the responsibility of government is to ensure that you lighten the burden of citizens. And where there are losses occasioned by acts of God, you are able to come to their aid speedily. How many states have functioning emergency management agencies? And what is their response mechanism before disaster strikes? How many of them are engaging in public enlightenment? These are the things that touch people. These are issues of governance. And that's what you should spend money on, not some of them establishing all kinds of institutions and buying vehicles. And now so you will save money, and then you will be buying vehicles that you will be fueling from the money that you have saved when you are telling people to make sacrifices.
You're frittering it away.
My take on that really is that the president has taken positive steps. He has spoken well in terms of appreciating Nigerians and letting us know that what's happening now is we should endure. It's like baby steps of pain. Right. Well said. Well said. The point is that in Nigerian system, when you are a president, you are working with some of your aides and trusted members of the Federal Executive Council who are going to make the ministers, and of course heads of agencies, and parastatals under the various ministries of the federal government of Nigeria. So now the implementation aspect of whatever plan that he has put in place is the major concern of Nigerians, because we have gone through it over the years. We've gone through it since 1999, for instance. We've seen government come and go. We've also seen policy somersaults. We've also seen, policy lack of proper implementation of policies geared towards achieving major objectives that will, like Kingsley said, lessen the burden of the government. Because whatever you're doing that does not trickle down to the ordinary Nigerian, then nothing has been done. That is where I personally would want to value government implementation of policies that it has designed for itself. The annoying thing about the system is this, that we always have good health that will articulate a document or documentations of line of actions that could be taken in different parts of different aspects of our life. Yet, when it comes to implementation, we'll start finding faults here and there. The other day, Kingsley, we were talking about Ibadan Lagos Expressway. I've been hearing it for the past 40 years. So does it mean that that road, there's something there? Is there a spirit there that says, look, this road can never be completed? Governments will come and go. That place remains.
Even if there is, you can kill Mami Water with your car.
Exactly. So, so these are the things that...
Except that you can't find Mami Water on the road.
On the road.
You have to summon Victor Wifo. You have to summon Victor Wifo to let you know where you find Mami Water. But gentlemen, one other story, you find it inside the papers. There's an alert from NAFDAC, and this has to do with the contamination of a batch of soft drink produced by a very well-known bottling company in the country. We hope that members of the public will take the right precaution. This is it's a batch. It says 50 cl of that particular batch. I'm sure you must have read it from online sources and elsewhere. We were talking about, and we've been talking about police and policing, especially with the latest announcement by the Acting Inspector General of Police about the creation of a new special squad and the withdrawal of men of the police mobile unit from VIP protection duties and so on and so forth. I know the comments that we all made. Now, in the course of this celebration, there's a video that went viral. I don't know whether you saw it, gentlemen. I saw it, and I've read it. This is from a forum of media practitioners, and I've also seen it elsewhere. No fewer than 8 mobile policemen, all of them armed, were escorting the gentleman who was moving. I didn't quite see the face of the. I couldn't recognize the face of the gentleman. I was going to slaughter a cow, obviously for the Salah celebration or some other celebration. 8 armed mobile policemen. Now, one other report on the forum says that the first public relations officer has frowned at the behavior of the mobile police officers in that particular video. And so we get back to the same question. 8 mobile policemen armed.
Following one man
who had a machete in his hand to put a cow, to sleep. And then you ask yourself, is it that Nigeria is under-policed, as we often hear, or that Nigeria is inefficiently policed?
Both.
8 of them. 8 armed mobile policemen. So when you say, because I'm not an advocate of saying, oh, increase number of policemen. If you increase the number of policemen, arm them, you and I will be demanding for.
Will apply.
Somebody like Kirian will demand for.
Yeah, I will apply.
I didn't see this video.
No, it went wrong.
Yeah, but I want to ask, was he that close to Sambisa Forest?
As to why the number of
a whole what do you call it now, almost a battalion to go and slaughter a ram.
And what is the self-respect of those police officers?
My people say in life there are some people you give allow and they take allowance.
Recall one House of Rep member from Imo State, who had his own men, just like the policemen who were guarding him. One shot him dead. He died. You remember? That was in 2019 or so. He died. He was going for a function. And the guy was trying to brandish this guy, wants to entertain people with the next thing, the one bullet hit the guy, and he died.
Accidental discharge.
Yes, and he died. So why are those razzmatazz, and pass margarin, because you're attending an occasion, you go and pay and get some policemen around you, you want to show that you have landed and all of that. It is not good. Let us just do away with those things. And the authorities concerned should get these things done well, because the society is watching and they're not happy. Even though they're not talking.
Let's get things done.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not necessary.
All right, Chukwudi and my colleague Kirian, that's how we call it time on Municipal Review segment today. Jerry Okorodudu, Olympian and former medalist at the Commonwealth Games and the National Sports Festival, has passed away. He was 64 years old. Unfortunately, his corpse was held for a while because his family was said to be owing a 600,000 hospital bill. Now, the back page of the Punch is indicating that his body has now finally been released for a decent interment. May his soul rest in peace. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll be dealing with safety and security of lodgers in Nigerian hotels.
As a prompt for our conversation this morning, which focuses on safety and security of lodgers in hotels in Nigeria, here is a report put together by our correspondent, Ekene Ndulwe.
Hotels are generally assumed to be places of recreation, relaxation, and a safe haven for lodgers and customers who could afford them. However, reported killings in many hotels across Nigeria has become a source of worry, creating a big question on the safety and security of lodging facilities in the country. Stories of how these facilities are used as dens of criminal activities, where innocent people are murdered by some hotel owners and managers, as well as customers, now abound in the media space. This trend is not new in the country, as the first major case of hotel killings, the Otokoto saga, was reported in Imo State in 1996, when an 11-year-old groundnut hawker was lured into the then popular Otokoto Hotel and murdered for ritual purposes. Since then, it has been from one hotel killing to the other. In 2019, Gracious David West, a serial killer, was arrested for the murder of 9 women in different hotel rooms in Rivers State. In 2022, Moses Oko was arrested for killing his girlfriend for ritual purposes and leaving the mutilated body in a hotel in Jos Plateau State. Cases like these are becoming more regular, and the recent conviction of Raymond Adedeyi, owner of Hilton Honor Hotel and Resort, Ile-Ife, Osun State, for the murder of a master's degree student, Timothy Adegoke, is one case too many, though many of the killers have been apprehended and sentenced. Many are considering the possibility of undiscovered cases. How can the security and safety of hotel lodgers be assured? Guests on this episode of Good Morning Nigeria will be providing answers in a moment.
Many thanks, Ekene Unduloi, for that background report. And to discuss this subject matter, let's welcome here in the Abuja studios Onofiok Ekong. He's the General Secretary of the Hotel Owners Forum here in Abuja. Onofiok, we're glad to have you this morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you.
Also here with us in the studios is retired Wing Commander Musa Salmano, a development, peace and security expert. Wing Commander Salmano, we're glad to have you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigeria.
Okay. Joining us via Zoom from Uyo, the capital of Akwa Ibom State, would like to welcome Ine Akpabio, who is the chairman of Akwa Ibom State Hotels Management and Tourism Board. Ine Akpabio, we're glad to have you this morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, gentlemen, welcome to the program. Really, our focus is on the safety and security of lodgers in the hotel industry. Of course, we have read out a number of incidents that took place in this country, some very many years ago, some very recent as well, which means that activities of operators of hotels in Nigeria have many questions to answer with respect to the development. So our concern, therefore, this morning is to evaluate hotel business generally and be able to now take on the security aspect of it. You're in Abuja, and of course the General Secretary, Hotel Owners Forum, Abuja. Tell us about this hotel business and what should be the major concern of operators in a given day for business operations.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigeria. HOFA, the body I represent as General Secretary, was formed by investors, people that saw the business, the importance of the business, and the importance of the investment. Now, the motto for this, for HOFA, is hospitality and security. That's our motto. So, the first thing we are looking at, the first thing we are concerned about for our guests is your security and you being taken care of when you come to our business. And we saw it fit as a group to see that we keep to this motto. In the business, we have partnered with the police, with the SS and FCT, to come and enlighten our members on challenges of security. Now, we are only about 350 members in our association. And believe you me, the FCT has about, if not up to 5,000 hotels, or people that have converted their properties into hotels, which I believe is not right. The reason why we are identified and we come out is so that we are responsible to an authority, which is the government, which is the FCT board. We have our billboards that show that wherever you are coming, this is where you are coming to. You are coming to a business that is identified. Now, some of the challenges we have are some of these other businesses that are running FCT, you don't even know you're entering a hotel.
That's a good issue, a point you've made now. But who regulates those otherwise? Say you have 300 something members. You have over 5,000 hotels in Abuja.
We have even more.
So is it not properly regulated or something? Tell us more. Let's know why those 5,000 are not members of HOFA.
Now, we are not authorized, or we are not what word would I use? We are not given a mandate by the federal government to go about and start getting these people to join our body. It was formed by businessmen that just saw the importance of the business. What we do is we always just let people know the importance of being with us, because we are a voice. We are one voice. And in that way, you have access to the things we can get access to. So we just advise, but we are not a regulatory body that go about to enforce that you must join. You must be a member of OFA or else you are being penalized. I don't believe that is up to us. But every time we have an opportunity to sit down with the security authority, we let them know these things. That these are part of the challenges that you would face, especially when you are entering. For me, I cannot want to enter somewhere that I don't know where I'm going to.
Okay, thank you very much, Onofio Ekong. Let's bring in Ini Akpabio into the conversation at this time. Mr. Akpabio, tell us something from your experience in terms of running the Akwa Ibom Hotels Board. Is the hospitality business now an all-commerce affair? Probably with no rules governing entry, governing operation, and governing exit, or even where there are rules. These rules have been observed in the breach.
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very important topic, and I'm acting from the perspective of the government. The government must play a very, very serious role when it comes to regulating players within the industry. In the first place, when I became the chairman of the Hotels Management and Tourism Board for Akwa Ibom State, the first thing I did was to document all the hotels that we had in the states. Documenting the hotels meant that we wanted to know where are the hotels, who are the hotels, who are the owners of the hotels. This is the foundation for security, because when you know the people behind the hotels, the setup of the hotels, you have an idea of the foundation of these hotels. And so after doing that, we then offered guidelines. We communicated with the Nigerian Police Force, the SSS, the NDLEA. And for my state, after the documentation, we've been having quarterly meetings with all the hotel operators. The meetings are to inform them of new aspects of security breaches affecting hotels. So the next aspect after documentation is communication. After communication, the third aspect, which we as a government have tried to ensure that hotels are adequately informed about, is using technology to also oversee what happens within their hotels. And of course, we are talking of aspects like CCTV and training of the staff. Training is the manual aspect, but using the CCTV is the digital aspect of it. So when you have combinations of this, security becomes enhanced within the hotel areas. But what I would like to say is that governments have a very big role to play. Governments must issue guidelines, governments must supervise these guidelines, and governments must communicate adequately with the private sector. Thank you.
All right. Ini Akpabio, good enough. You are the chairman of Management and Tourism Board of Akwa Ibom, which means you are a government man. And it's good to hear from you that government needs to do a lot to checkmate the excesses that we find in the hotel industry in Nigeria. We will definitely get back to you for further analysis. Now let's return here and meet the security expert with us here in the studio, and that's Wing Commander Musa Samanu, retired. What are the major security concerns in a hotel?
Well, The major security concerns in hotel, just like in every society, is the fact that the hotel could provide a safe haven for so many atrocities. That is from people that are outlaws or people that are on the run to get to the hotel or see that as a safe haven where they could hide from the law or law enforcement, but also to the fact that because of the nature of the hotel itself, it could be an avenue whereby a lot of, that's in the positive side, you could gain so much intelligence. That's because that's where people go for recreation, that's where people go for so many reasons, businesses, pleasure, and so on and so forth. So in terms of here, I want us to see security here as a collective responsibility. That means those concerns could be from, say, government regulations, as I said, or at the governmental level, but also at the operators level, but also community. That's the lodger, the community that is there, and the people that are generally around the hotel. All these form up what could be major issues or major concerns with this, with security in hotels. Now, when you find one aspect or many of these aspects lacking, they affect one another. For example, it's the responsibility of, say, government at all levels, maybe the state, federal, or even local level. You find out that most of these hotels are situated in where it should be local governments. Responsibilities, or at most the state level responsibility. But you have federal agencies, DSS, other security agencies that are in charge of the security. So it's a kind of collective responsibility, but a synergy between these three levels or cadre of people or groups that are responsible that should take adequate measures to ensure that we have security. So it's either whether it's failure of on the side of government, on the side of the operators, or on the side of the lodgers or security, the communities. So until when all this comes around, excuse me, and failure in any of these cadre or degrees, you find out that you have a lot of issues with security within the hotel industry.
Okay, thank you very much, your Wing Commander. Let me return to Ekong. We're talking about government regulation of the industry. I recall that some years ago, when it was still the Director General of the Tourism Development Board here in Abuja, that's the Nigerian Tourism Development Board, Segun Rushewe, yes. I think he had a running battle with the Lagos State government, yes. Also over who has control with respect to the regulation of tourism. I didn't quite know how the matter ended, but the Lagos State government asserted that it was its responsibility. So, as operators, with whom do you relate in terms of getting the regulation, the code of behavior for operators? And others, I'm not talking about taxes now, because all those ones, they will come. They will come and collect taxes, levies, and rates, and all kinds of things. We're talking about operating the hotel business for the benefit of, well, the operators and ultimately the citizens, so that their safety and security can be assured.
Okay, as it is now, it's sad to say that the only thing they are interested in from our business is our money. That's tax. That is the only thing that it looks like they are interested in. So we are always faced with the challenge of having to meet bodies to get us organized. Like till date, we've not classified hotels in the FCT. This is the FCT. How do we know which is a 5-star? How do we know which is a 3-star? How do we know which is a 2-star? No, we are yet to get to that level. So what we just face every day is, every morning this body will come, we'll bring an act or a law and tell her that we are in charge of this. By the time they will tell you they are in charge of this, the next thing that we jump to is we are collecting this. 3 days later, another body will come and tell you we have the act, we have the law, we are in charge of this. So we are not organized. Let me just get to answer you. I believe we should supposed to be the NTDA. Now the former entities are now NTDA. But as I've said, we'll have this body coming up, Visual Development. We have the AMAC will come up and tell you that they are the ones that are supposed to tell us no and this and this. So it's a bit confusing. It's a bit disturbing for us investors.
Oh, okay, let me remain with you. This issue of classification you mentioned is apt, because you can hardly find which one is 5-star, 3-star, 2-star, as this case may be. So I call them classless, hotels operating in Abuja. Especially when you go to like Nyanya, Maraba, and all of that, don't see that you will see hotels in obscure places, the places that are already scary in the first place. So obscure places with no name in some cases, and what have you. Now let's talk about what happened to Adegoke with respect to the way he came in. He went to the counter or the reception, and the lady received him, checked him in, and what have you. But the story we heard along the line was that she didn't quite properly, register him, in the normal way they do it. Perhaps they also do their own deals internally, right? So perhaps maybe let him lodge, we'll share that money and what have you. And what resulted was the fact that one, he was not properly, checked in. Besides, he was murdered and what have you. Now, in terms of the...
Karen, I'm sorry. Let's to correct that. The evidence that was adduced in court or in the course of trial was to the effect that he was properly checked in. It turned out that after the commission of the offense, the proprietor, in collaboration with other conspirators, mutilated the records of his checking into the hotel.
Yes, but that's correct. But initially, the lady, he couldn't pay the money into the account of the hotel when he paid. He paid to her account. So whatever transaction they did, there was an abnormality in the entrance initially, right? So now, what I'm talking about is that when you employ personnel in hotels, what kind of education do you give them, or sensitization to behave properly and work according to the tenets of a hotel business? Because people are doing business internally in hotels, and also people are coming using hotels because it's already a place where somebody checked in, so that person is already in a trap, so to speak, if he's a victim. So how do you manage? Now I'm talking about hotel management proper. Internal management of hotel. What should it be, and what have you been witnessing?
Okay, for us, HOFA, we have partners and bodies like NIHOTO. We have the ITPN, Institution of Tourism Professionals. These are bodies that they do well in training the staff that we believe would manage our facilities. Now that is why I said for us, we HOFA, we take it important that these things are kept. Try and go to these bodies to look for staff so that you can hold somebody responsible. I don't know why you want to employ somebody without having a proper guarantor. That's in the first place. Someone to fall back to in case of mishaps. Now let's get to the training proper. The hotel industry, we build skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled laborers because of the varsity of the line of business. But in that, you believe in that business, somebody that is unskilled can become skilled because of training. So this is usually our watch. As I've said, when you have an investor that has invested so much in a business, he's interested. He's interested to the very end, to the people that are working for him, to the people that are managing his money. So it's important for any hotel owner to know that your staff is your business. Your staff is your face where you are not there. So when you are hiring them, you have your checks. You need to have your checks. Where are they coming from? Have they done this line of job before? And we want to even start going as far as we our members, we discuss among ourselves when you have staff that are miscreants that have done issues, we will share. Please be careful of this. Just that I think by law you are not allowed to publicate anybody that, you know, except he's being convicted that is a criminal or so. You are not allowed to say he's a criminal. But we try to protect ourselves from such mishaps in the industry.
Okay, thank you. Let's return to NTA Akpabio, still with us via Zoom. Earlier, Mr. Akpabio, you were talking about the role of government, but you didn't quite identify which of the tiers of government. And what has been your experience? I tell you, for regular travelers in this country, and this is the holiday season, although work is supposed to have resumed today, people move from place to place, and you find people looking for a comfortable place, a safe and secure place to enjoy their break. So, I mean, Kieran and I were raising this point earlier. In major cities these days, there's virtually no street. There's virtually no street that is not without hotels. Hotel. And you get into some of them and you're just asking yourself, I mean, is this a brothel or is it a hotel?
Yes, what I would like to say is that there's a lot we actually have to do, even as a government. I will agree with Mr. Nofiok Ekong that there's a lot of confusion, even from the governmental aspects. The government itself needs to really have a structure that says these are the people that are to look into the activities and operations of hotels. And then there should be no duplications, because one of the things he mentioned is that there are duplications, and then you have so many people coming in to inquire about possibly the same thing. So that is very correct in the first place. But working on the governmental side also, what we have seen is that a lot of investors, like he's been talking of investors, also need training. They need training because it is one thing to be an investor, but if you are not trained yourself, you cannot impact, because most of them are investor operators. When you become an investor operator, it means that you must be trained to be an operator. And if you lack that training, it's a very serious issue. So the way I look at it is that governments must come up with certain regulations. One of the regulations is that if you are the owner of a hotel, you must be licensed. Licensed in the sense that you must undergo a training. That training covers aspects including security, securing the people within your hotel environment. And then there is this indiscriminate hiring of people. In certain countries, before you are accepted as a hotel manager, you must also go through a specified training and then be licensed as a hotel manager. It is just the same as when we have chartered accountants, chartered architects. You should also have something like a chartered hotel manager or a chartered hotelier. So until all these things are done properly, and government has to come in and supervise that these things are properly done, we are going to have loopholes, not only in security. Today we are talking of security. We are also going to have loopholes in service delivery, loopholes in how hotels are classified, loopholes in quality of food that is given to persons, and so many other aspects. So my take is that government still has a lot to do. We need to enact certain laws that will throw up well-trained hotel operators. You cannot be an investor and an operator, because they are going to create a lot of problems within that sector. Those are the things that we in government are looking at. And until we can get our structure right and make sure this comes to play, we will still have a lot of confusion within the hotel industry.
I still would like to stay with you, Mr. Ine Akpabio. Well, happily, you were talking about the need for formal training and certification of hotel operators. For instance, loosely, say a chartered hotel manager. I think that the National Board for Technical Education has some role in this, because from time to time, they issue occupational standards. That is to say, if, for instance, you are a truck driver, what are the requirements for you to satisfy before you are given a truck to drive, so that you don't go about crushing other vehicles, as happened at Ovia River yesterday in Edo State. And then you're saying that, oh, the government has a role in this respect. How much of interaction, if any, is there between, say, the tourism operators or the hospitality operators and the National Board for Technical Education with respect to occupational standards for operators and then managers and other workers in the hospitality environment?
I may need to challenge you there. I'm not very certain it should be the National Board for Technical Education, because the National Board for Technical Education may be more adequately prepared to train the operatives and those who have chosen hotel management as a career. But it is the Standards Organization of Nigeria who are to set the standards. I remember vividly about several months ago, the Standards Organization of Nigeria came to my state. We hosted them, and the idea was that they wanted to do a globally accepted grading of hotels, just like what the HOFA Secretary Onofio Akon said. How do you grade hotels? How do you grade hotels that if I go to a 2-star hotel in Uyo, a 2-star hotel in Sokoto, and a 2-star hotel in Paris, London, or New York, is going to be the same standard of operations acceptable on that global basis? And so the Standard Organization tried to do that. But again, what I'm seeing is that there is still a lot of inadequacy in terms of all of them coming together. Even the Standards Organization, which represents the federal government, they've not come together and said, look, this is how we are going to go about doing this. And this is how it's going to permeate to the state levels and possibly the local government levels. So we are still in a kind of situation that we are trying to see how do we get standards correctly, because it's standards we are talking about, standards of operation, standards of safety, standards to do with grading. So we are interfacing, but I would like to say that the foundation is not yet strong enough.
Yes, we appreciate your analysis, and I believe that you and my colleague are also saying the same thing, because from your analysis, we've just adduced the fact that both of you were right. Now, I'm just knowing really, Kingsley, that Standard Organization of Nigeria can wade into this. I was thinking that they're also more concerned about products and all of that. I didn't know that services are also important, because people don't highlight some of these things to know who is responsible for what. And in some cases, you have duplicated responsibilities. And people will also be struggling to say, look, this is my area. I know we are struggling for space and so, or territory, if you like. This is what happens. But again, at least from what you have explained, we can have a better understanding. Now, let's return to the security experts here with us, Wing Commander Musa Salmanu. Now, let's be specific in terms of what happened to certain individuals. The one in Lagos we cited during the opening remarks. She was lured in by her Facebook friends. Perhaps one, but two actually performed the act, and they did that in a hotel. And the other ones are similar cases as well, you know. Now, what should be the concern of the hotel operators when they suspect some unusual characteristics and what have you? And how do they even get to understand that there is an unusual movement or characters in our premises who have already lodged? Are they more concerned about just checking and making the money? You know, how do you now know somebody? Do we need a psychologist to work in the hotels or something to determine who has ulterior motive or coming to check into a place? So how do we discern who is who? You know, these are some technicalities we're talking about, and it has to do with training that I also mentioned.
So, you know, it's there could be deterrence or measures that deter criminals or people with bad intentions to come into a place generally. So what hoteliers could do about that, you cannot all the time know the intent of people. But you could put in measures that will ensure that for someone to think of committing a crime in that area or in that space, they know, one, that they are not going to go scot-free, or there is the high chances that they could be caught. So a lot of crimes are committed because people assume that they will get away with it. So when they come, for example, like we're talking about the issues, what are the procedures of checking in? What is the physical measures that are put in there to ensure that someone comes, he sees that there are maybe security measures that are put in there, physical, both human and technological and so on. And even the checking in process, you find out that you come, there is need for means of identification to start with. A valid ID card, whether it's and most of the time hotels should insist on national ID, driver's license,
voters card.
Those identity cards that that have good with NIMSI, so that easily someone could be traced. And also the process, even at the counter, for people should also insist. For example, when you pay for services, that's now on the hotel, people lodging, customers insist on things like receipts, insist on paying through either accounts or something. Now, the issue of mobile means of payment, all those ideas help in tracing. They also help in ensuring, so the hoteliers should insist. You train your staff that, okay, when someone comes, this is the minimum expectations. For you, someone that, a client also, you have to come in, you're coming in with somebody, for example, you understand that he has not checked in properly yet. So that should start raising some concerns. There will be victims sometimes. So it's not a one-person thing. Everybody has to get involved. That's, as we said, at the gate now, maybe those that are trained security experts, whether it's the police or private security providers and so on, there must be a basic or a minimum level of training that they get.
I want to add this to what was said. Yes. Sorry. You know, practically speaking, if you come to a hotel, for instance, you check in. Meanwhile, they have the other key, the extra key. Well, you have your key and they have one, right? Which means already you are not safe. Whatever percentage you take it, yes, from day one. You know, somebody else has a key, and you don't know the motive of such person. Is that a standard practice? I know that elsewhere, you know, across the globe, such is done. But again, if you travel out of the country and they want to check in anywhere, like you said, they will take your passport and all of that. Even sometimes tell you certain things, you know, that you the do's and don'ts, you know, in the hotel before you check in. So I want you to add that to what you are saying.
So a lot of things that you should check when you get into a hotel, the hotel room, for example, is that at the back there should be this hook that you could, that even if someone has a key, you could put that hook from the inside. Then there should be that hole on the door. Not
in all hotels.
Yes. Well, it should be. That's the issue of standards now. Yes. That there must be that regulation that ensures that there are minimum standards in every hotel. Is when we fail, and which we have failed in so many, because we have highlighted where you have hotels that someone just works up today and say, well, I want to turn this into a money spinning business, and he turns his own residence into a hotel without nobody certifying that fit for cohabiting. Because when someone comes into a hotel, a lot of the time you want calm, you want peace, and so on. People are very tired sometimes, so they just come in, they just want where they can rest. And the moment they come in there, the hotelier has a responsibility through his staff, even if he's not the operator, to ensure that there is that environment that is provided for the person to have that calm and peace. Now, so it's the responsibility, as we have just been saying, of government, of the owners also. But there is so much that we can talk about, say, self-regulation, like they are trying to do with HOFA. Because if there are no minimum standards, if there are no enforcements, if there are no penalties, then you find out that it's difficult to self-regulate. And the hotel industry, as we have now seen, it involves so many subsectors or people that are operating within it. You have the hoteliers themselves, you have those that are providing food, everybody comes in. So screening, background checks on even the staff that you employ, and the fact that there should be that review from time to time, periodic review about this. Do you, after some time, background checks, because people change, how often do you do those background checks on the people that are employed in that? Or even, as we have seen in the case here, it's not only just the employers, but even the hotel owners. So not, if someone comes, I want a license to operate a hotel, what is the level of background check that is conducted on that person? Talk about the physical structure itself. What are the security or safety issues or safety measures that are put in there, so that when lodgers come in, they know that they are safe and there are minimum. So it's a responsibility, like I said earlier on the side of government, both at all levels of government, depending on where that hotel is, on the side of the operators themselves and the lodgers. When you come in, there are minimum things. And always security is all about, a lot of times, your sixth sense. Everything is said and done. What is your mind telling you? What is it saying? What should you check? And so on and so forth.
That's right. Wing Commander Salmano, thank you very much for the sixth sense perspective that you have introduced. In other words, a lodger at a hotel should be observant.
Yes, very good.
If there are things that are not right, for instance, you are in your room and you didn't order for anything, and then there is a knock at your door, and there is no door viewer, and the person says room service. You don't just go and open the door. It's a room service. What do you want? So I'm bringing a bottle of Coke. Sorry, I'm bringing a bottle of soft drink or some other thing to you. I said, I didn't ask for any. I said, if the person insists and you didn't ask for that, then you make a call. Now, one of the first things to also do in a hotel is to be sure that the hotel intercom is working. I think that these are basic checks that people should undergo. But is there, in recent decades, a fundamental disposition that is also driving this lack of even self-regulation and the plenitude of hotels established indiscriminately and staff also indiscriminately recruited oftentimes from the village of the investor in the hotel? Is it a factor of corruption that people are looking for ways to quickly salt away dirty money? So just go and set up the hotel quickly. Sometimes you find them building it in about a year. And the hotel is supposed to be serious construction with all kinds of safety measures. You go to well-established hotels, once you're above a certain number of floors, they are supposed to also have fire extinguishers, for the water valves and so on and so forth. But you go to them, some of the POP poorly done and so on and so forth. You are smiling. But that's the question. And that's why if you had a regulator, they would say, no, this cannot stand.
That is it.
Yes.
You just said it. There's nothing as important as being organized. I believe as a nation, as individuals, being organized is key. If we have an organized body regulating the sector, people that don't mean well wouldn't come, because they know before they will be allowed. The intention is not fair, it's not good. That's why corruption is when you word you use corruption is large. It cuts across so many dimensions. But once there is organization, once there is a face, once there is a body to coming in, you would see that people would check before they go in. Nobody would walk into anywhere that is not organized. If I found out that anything can happen here, I will want to do that here. I would just go in there. You know, as I've said, investors, people just wake up and turn their houses to hotel because they believe anybody will come and stay and make the money. That's not the main aim of hospitality. Is, as we said, HOFA was hospitality and security. Hospitality and security. So you as somebody coming in, we are on top the situation that you are coming in to rest well and you are coming into a secured environment.
Okay. Go ahead, my brother. Are you okay?
Yeah,
all right. Now, you see, you have really nailed it. You know, because you are a man in the field, so you understand the nitty-gritty of this conversation with respect to what happens to guests when they come to check in the hotels in Abuja, for instance. And one good thing you have made known to the public is the fact that, look, the industry is not properly regulated, that people are operating on their own, as well. You know, people are owning hotels here and there. But let me share this little experience, you know, what happens in terms of this security thing we're talking about. In Abuja here, a long time ago, I was in a hotel, we were having a conference, you know, right? On one occasion, I was just coming down from the staircase, and I saw a lady being dragged from the staircase to a room. 2 men and another lady. Perhaps it's a family issue, I don't know, but I wouldn't know why that should be settled in a hotel or whatever. But she was crying to her, but the hotel workers, nobody bothered, you know, to ask questions about why she was being dragged. I was feeling that it's a family affair, so that's why I didn't make any noise about it, because I was going to complain to them to see, look, did you see one lady being dragged upstairs there with 2 men and one other lady with them and all that? So that's why, well, I left because it doesn't concern me. But for the purpose of this conversation, these are the kind of things that you see in hotels in Nigeria, and I don't know why such issues should be settled in a hotel in such a manner that somebody was being dragged and so on and so forth. So it was in one place long time ago. Now what happens in other places? There are security concerns here and there. Let me return to Ini Akpabio once more. I know that Akwa Ibom is a beautiful state, and we have good hotels there. Are your hotels in Akwa Ibom classified? If yes, give us an idea of a kind of classification we're talking about here. We have 2-star, 3-star, 5-star, and if the answer is yes, are they comparable with the ones we have outside the country in terms of the standard that we're talking about?
The quick answer is that hotels in Akwa Ibom State are yet to be classified, just like virtually all the hotels in Nigeria are yet to be classified. Because in my narrative, I was trying to tell you that the Standards Organization of Nigeria waded in, trying to nationally classify hotels to meet up with global standards. For all our information, the Standards Organization of Nigeria have got the franchise to classify hotels in Nigeria as part of their standardization requirements. So standardization is not just on manufactured products only, but it also goes into service delivery. So the answer to your question is that we are yet to be properly classified. But I'd just like to throw a point on what the wing commander said. I believe that going forward in Nigeria, when you go into a hotel, we should do the kind of checking that is done when you want to enter a plane. Don't forget that all these things occurred over time. We had security breaches within the airline industry, and then the airline sat up and became more interested in ensuring that they knew those who were entering their planes and they could check their identification. So I believe that as a government also, we must put in place as a law that when somebody comes into your hotel, treat that person entering your hotel as you will treat somebody entering the aeroplane. And when you enter a plane, about 2 or 3 places you are asked to show your identification. Your name is Iniakpabio. Can you identify yourself with something that has your picture, and so on and so forth? So I think that is a very important fundamental we have to look at. It's done a lot in many countries, especially like a state in the United Arab Emirates, which is called Dubai. If you go to Dubai, they will even take your passports. When you enter the hotel, they will keep your passport for the duration of your stay, meaning that if you commit any crime, if you want to run away, if you want to do anything, well, you are free to do that, but you will be without your international passports. So we must look at how we are going to organize the hotel sector. Lastly, I want to also look at the hotel sector like we had the banking sector in the past. The banking sector in the past at a stage was like an all-commerce affair. Father could be the chairman, the son will be the managing director, the sisters will be the executive directors, and then they cleaned up the banking sector. We need to clean up the hotel sector. The hotel sector has investors who insist on being operators without adequate training, and I keep emphasizing that. Investors who want to become operators are doing damage to the hotel industry because they don't understand the workings of the hotel. And they impart knowledge they don't have to people who are operating. And because the government has not organized itself to checkmate these atrocities, we have chaos within the hotel industry. Training is very important. Train your staff, train yourself. Because just like the wing commander said, even if you are using 6th Sense, 6th Sense applies to the hotel operatives as well as the hotel user. And the hotel operative 6th Sense has to be trained, brought out, so that, and know what is wrong. So we must get all these things right in the hotel industry, just like we have got it right in other industries, banking, aviation, and the rest. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Iniakpabio, thank you very much there for the fresh points that you have made. Again, this is not like hair splitting, but I think that I need to weigh in one more time because you've referenced the Standards Organization of Nigeria. And while the conversation has been ongoing, I've been in touch with a consultant on technical education who also works for the NBTE, National Board for Technical Education, with respect to occupational standards. And it's just advised again and informed me that it is the NBTE that validates occupational standards, and that these standards are developed by the various sector skills councils. That's to say, I'm talking about drivers, for instance, hoteliers. The councils will develop them, and then they bring them to NBTE for validation. We're talking about occupational standards now. Grading of hotels could be a different kettle of fish altogether, so that we know which agency of government to go to for training purposes, for which standards, and so on and so forth. That's why I'm making this point, because if the point is about Standards Organization of Nigeria and they don't have, as it were, responsibility for validation of occupational standards, that might create some challenge going forward. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we'll continue with the conversation.
Well, we are quite glad that you're still with us on Good Morning Nigeria for today. We are discussing safety and security of lodgers in hotels. It's a major concern because most of us lodge in hotels. When you travel out of the country or even within the country, you are definitely going to stay in a place where you don't have your own house. So that's why we are discussing the matter. It's a very serious matter, really, because loss of life is also concerned, Now, to security, I always like to share experience that other persons have, people that were close to me, for instance. Somebody that I knew, in fact, he's rest in peace, he's dead now, he was living in the UK, came down to Nigeria, lodged in a hotel in Lagos. All right. Definitely the workers in the hotel realized that he's been spending foreign currency and changing and all of that. So on one occasion, he was to go to a particular area in Lagos. So he just stepped out of the hotel. In front of that hotel, he was robbed of his passport, whatever money he had on him, in front of that hotel. He was still lodging in the hotel. He was just going to go somewhere and come back. Perhaps somebody may have called his accomplices to say, look, this man here, he's been lodging here with us, he has been spending dollars and stuff. They planned for him and he was robbed. He lost his passport and what have you. That's just one. And there are also instances, you know, where you discover that the hotel workers organize themselves to carry out nefarious activities on the people who are lodging in the place. That's where I'm going. And I want you to come from the security angle as to say, look, do you need training for persons who work in the hotels with respect to security? Is it necessary? You are an operator. And I'm also asking the security person here to say, can you train them? To say, if you see anybody coming in, you know, try to find out his movement, you know, his utterances and all of that, even after collecting his data, to know the way he's operating. And again, the workers themselves that plan these things, because they're part of it. Adegoke was killed because the workers co-planned it. If they didn't contribute, that wouldn't have been successful. If it were just outsiders that came, that wouldn't have been possible. And in some cases too, some organized robbers to come to hotels and rob. Honestly speaking, where I presently stay on that street 2 weeks ago, there's one small hotel there, beautifully looking, you know, but I didn't bother to go because I don't need it. I just live around. By 2 a.m., I'm being realistic, there was robbery there. When I mean robbery, what they did was to ask the security man that I want to lodge, that came in late from somewhere. The man opened the gate for them. They got in there, so they started shooting. In fact, they robbed all the people lodging there, took away their personal belongings, phones and what have you, and even the TV sets in the hotel rooms. Collected almost 10 or 15 of them pieces that night. Everything happened under 30 minutes and so on. And they escaped. So what am I trying to say? I mean, there is this complexity in security in hotels. And who knows, if the security man was acting like just as an ordinary worker, somebody came by 2 a.m. and you obliged him. And this is what happened. So how would you look at that scenario?
So, you know, we cannot treat the hotels in isolation of the general environment within which they exist, for the society and so on and so forth. So, first of all, we have to look at the general security of each environment. And also that should determine the siting of even hotels themselves. So when you're siting a hotel, there are a lot of things you have to look at. What is the exit plan, for example? If there is something, what happens? Are you registered with the local police authority there and so on? Do they do from time to time periodic checks and assessment, both physical measures that you put in and other issues? Like I said earlier on, this hotel is a very good place for intelligence gathering, especially in build-up areas and cities, because that's where all sorts of people are supposed to come in. Now, what is the level of collaboration between hotels and the security agencies that are there? So with that also, there's the training is one of it. So all the staff, to start with, you train them, but there's also the issues of background checks, very, very important issues of references and so on. And we have this bad habit of just someone says, I am so person, and we collect and we keep. Nobody goes further to conduct any search on that. Nobody goes to authenticate and show that that information that is provided is true or so on. So the staff are one of the most critical link or the critical component of security in a hotel. When you have staff that are already compromised, when you have staff that have shady backgrounds, when you have staff that cannot be traced to somewhere, then you have already set up an environment whereby there will be a lot of criminal activities going on there, whether you as the hotelier know or you don't. And sometimes, so, and going to the issues of the maybe the authority, the bodies and so on, that there must be sanctions. When a hotel does ABC, this is the penalty, this is the fine, this is what the hotelier, and there must be rules as to entry. What are the minimum requirements, both in terms of security, that's you the hotelier, what are the, now we have, for example, in terms of financial crimes, for example, we have the SCUMIO. Is it that tends to say, okay, so that you regulate issue of finance and so on and so. So we have to adopt those minimum standards for hotels.
Yeah, but who does it? Who drives it? Who enforces it? I think that's where everyone is probably at sea. It doesn't accept when they want to come and collect taxes, rates, and levies.
So I think again is from, like you were given an example of a federal agency and a state government, that who actually is responsible for regulating the hotels in the hospitality industry. And until that is sorted out, but I want to let me not speculate here, but then if it's based in a community, municipal area, and so on and so, you find out that, and again, security is at all levels, as I've emphasized earlier on. So the security and the security aspect, everybody is involved, from the individual to the hotelier to the municipal local government to the state government, and also federal agencies that are there. Everybody is involved to the level to which everybody is, because when you say everybody is involved now you are creating also a gap whereby nobody can hold anybody responsible, and when something happens, nobody is held accountable. But in terms of general security, the hotel and the security operatives there have a responsibility to ensure that they know the hotel, they know the operatives in there, and they insist that they register with them, know their staff, conduct background checks on them, and do that periodically from time to time.
Yeah, well, Commander Salmano, thank you very much there for the points that you have raised. Back again to Mr. Ekong. Mr. Ekong, I know that sometimes investors and business people complain of over-regulation and too much government presence in their business, and usually the complaint is about shakedowns, pay this, pay that, pay this, pay that, and nobody, oversees. And of course, you complain also about having to provide your own infrastructure. You provide your own light, provide your own water, provide everything, and so on and so forth. Our hotel operators desperate for revenue. So as my colleague Kieran was saying a while ago, a lodger comes, or lodgers come at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you say, the security man is not wary enough to profile them, to say, I shouldn't open my gates for this person. So if you look 4 or 5 of them, they want to lodge, that's money for the hotel. So let them come in. You see persons who are otherwise suspicious, so no problem, let them come in. We haven't made money for a while. Is that part of what's going on? And how might that be changed? Take that along with the issue of, look, considering the anxiety that decent guests now have about lodging in certain kinds of hotels, what should hoteliers be doing now?
I want to use this opportunity to appreciate the founders of HOFA, because they were thinking up to this level when it started. Now we don't basically really look for a body to tell us what to do, because we've invested in the business. We know the importance to these guests, to the business. We are forced to try to do the right thing. For example, you mentioned SCUMO. EFCC are our friends and partners as a body. We interact with them. They've given us guidelines on things to watch out for when it comes to money laundering. Certain amount of money being paid, please flag it. We have direct access to the police, because we invite them for our meetings to help us let our people know and give us a number that our operators can call. So that is why I said organization. HOFA, we pride in being organized so that anybody coming to our member hotels, we know that you are secure. We tell ourselves, make sure you have a CCTV camera at your entrance. This is what a guest will look out for. What is your security outfit like? Please, police, can you give us training for our staff so that they can be up to date on certain issues? The same with fire service and everything. So, as I've said, the reason why you are going into the business in the first place tells a lot. And that is why, with the regulatory body in place, you'll be able to detect who is not coming in to do business. Because the first thing for us, for me as a business person, my most important thing is my client, because he is the money. He is the person that is going to pay. If he's not satisfied, I don't get my money. What is the level of satisfaction he's looking for? Security, being hospitable, good food, where to sleep. So these are things that we check by ourselves. We don't even wait for government to help us check it. We check it because we know this is where our money is. Now I can't speak for the rest that are not under us, because as a body we meet often. We try to meet to encourage ourselves. This is how to run business. What are your challenges in your business? Okay, we have these challenges. The executives will gather and go and look for the body that is responsible for these challenges. Okay, we are a group of people who we run this business, we are facing this problem, we have come to you. But is that we don't need to be the ones to go. Let's have where to go to that is standard. Let's have where to pay our taxes unifiedly. Let's have a body that comes to tell us, look, if you people are not changing these things in so time, we will come to visit. It will help, and it will put things in check with other people.
All right, let's return to Any Babio once more. You talked about CCTV. You know, sometimes this technology can be beaten. I just recall one of the experience in Rome. We were there talk with the then Minister of Agriculture, who is now the President of African Development Bank, you know, Akinwumi Adesina. And we just got into a hotel. There's a staff of Federal Minister of Agri who knew the place properly, and he took us to a particular hotel. So we were still checking it. We were still on the count at the reception, trying to check. We were about 10 of us, right? So we had already made an arrangement. Within 3 minutes that we entered there, some individuals from white balls stepped in. We don't know where they went to the other side. Nobody was bothered that because we were just about checking in. Before you knew it, one man's bag got missing. So when we highlighted the incident to the hotel, they started running around. By the time they played back the CCTV, the young men covered their face. You can see them collecting it with their face covered, and they left. That is in a hotel. You know, that's also in a foreign country. Yeah. So it's not even peculiar to Nigeria. But they are more organized, you know, unlike us. For what, like that's classification, for instance, of hotel. Ini Akpabio, how do you cope with the issue of Yahoo boys who patronize hotels? Because the one where there will be no light fluctuation, when they need constant energy to operate, and they usually operate at midnight, you know, because they are dealing with people who perhaps who have different time belts, you know, with us. Since your hotels are not classified, how do you now determine what somebody pays when he enters a particular hotel? Because as the head of the board of hotel tourism board in Akwa Ibom, you should have data or be in the know of what is going on. How do you checkmate organized crime carried out in hotels? All right, we've just lost him. The connection had a hitch, and of course we've lost him. He could return before we conclude the program. And I would like, yes.
Just to also mention.
Okay. He's back.
Yeah. But you know, the guest himself also has a responsibility. The experience you're talking about, we witnessed it in Midtown Manhattan in New York. It was in 1990. We were checking into a hotel, covered the United Nations, and one of us, I wasn't the one, I wouldn't mention his name because I remember his name. His first name is Emmanuel. So in case, you know, the next thing, and then his first name is Emmanuel. The next thing, he looked around, he was alarmed. He couldn't find his luggage. His luggage was gone. In Paris, one of the Kardashians had her jewel stolen in a hotel room. Not Kim Kardashian, I think one of the sisters. And we were, I'm sure you know, those ones will not go to a one-star hotel. So you also have a duty as a guest not to expose your valuables and tempt hotel workers.
Yes. I hope you got my question, because by the time I landed, you are nowhere to be seen. Now you are back. Yes, if you had me, let's hear from you as well.
No, sorry, can you repeat, because I don't want to say
about security concerns in hotels in Akwa Ibom, for instance. The Yahoo boys operate at night. They need hotels because they need a constant energy supply to do their business. And there are other organized crimes, you know, here and there that are carried out in hotels, because that is where people have a good environment and atmosphere, uninterrupted atmosphere, where they will do their nefarious activity. How do you check on that? And on the issue of classification, do you intend to ignite action to classify hotels in Akwa Ibom, for instance?
Okay, let me start from the last issue. What we are trying to do in Akwa Ibom State, interestingly and luckily for us in Akwa Ibom State, the new governor is a hotelier, and one of the things he wants to do is to strengthen the Hotels Management and Tourism Board. And I'd like to use that to answer some of the questions that have been asked, that who are the people to actually regulate guidelines that are established for the hospitality sector, and especially the hotels. I think the Hotels Management Board should be in a position to do that. So once the Hotel Management Board is well positioned and given the capabilities to do that, they will be able to regulate and give guidelines and supervise activities within the hotel industry wherever they operate. Now, as regards the Yahoo Boys activities, yes, those ones are normal issues that hoteliers have to work hand in hand with the security agencies. They have to work hand in hand with them so that these security agencies infiltrate hotels. They come in sometimes as lodgers. I know the hotels sometimes will give rooms to DSS operatives, will give rooms to the police who come in mufti and mingle with the guests, especially if you suspect that some of the guests are not from the correct backgrounds. So those are things that we continue to do all the time. As regards theft in the hotel, like the last stories that we told, things are missing. I think we must also deploy technology because if you have adequate CCTV covering the public areas of a hotel, we don't expect your suitcase, your telephones, and other things to be missing, especially in the public arena when you have the CCTV overseeing what is happening. So those are the things, areas we can tackle.
Mr. Eni Akpabio, thank you very much. And it's good news that your current governor has a background in the hotel or hospitality business. And I'm sure that patrons will look forward to upscaling of the hospitality industry in your state. But very quickly, I don't know who's going to take this between Ekong and Akpabio. I have a message here, and it says that, so I'm asking you to confirm or dispute that the Nigeria Institute for Hospitality and Tourism are the regulators of the industry.
Nigerian Institute.
I should imagine Institute for Hospitality and Tourism.
That's Nihoto.
They are the regulators.
Nihoto.
Yes.
Nahuto.
Yes.
Well, if they are the ones that have been given the right and the mandates, they should come out. But as I've said, tomorrow another body will come out and tell you that they are the ones in charge. I think currently there's a bit of clash between some of them on who and who
multiplicity of responsibility.
Eni Akpabio, very quickly, let's also get your pitch on this. They say that I have a message here that the Nigeria Institute for Hospitality and Tourism said they are the regulators. What's your take on this? Are you familiar with them in terms of your operational matters or regulatory issues?
Nihoto is in charge of training. Nihoto is a training institute established to train people within the industry. Now, when you discussed the issue of the situation when Ron Sewe was in charge of NTDC, supervision of hotels is no more in the exclusive regime of governance. It has been relegated to the states. So the states themselves oversee what is happening in the hospitality sector. Like in Akwa Ibom State, my board will regulate the hospitality and tourism sector. The NTDA, formerly NTDC, is a marketing arm that markets tourism globally for Nigeria. The Nai Hotel is a training arm that trains people and sets up training standards, operational standards. The standards organization, just like we were clarified, was trying to establish a classification of hotels on a global basis. The NBTE trains the operatives, just like if they go to a hotel school or go to a university or go to a polytechnic, they can get skills, operational skills. So we must get their duties correctly. Thank you very much.
All right. On that note, to thank you, Ine Babio, Chairman, Akwa Ibom State Hotels Management and Tourism Board, for being our guest this morning. All right. And Onofio Ekong, General Secretary, Hotel Owners Forum, Abuja, HOFA, and the Managing Director, Pride Mark Hotels Limited. Well, thank you. Maybe Mr. and I will come on.
No problem. Yeah, we look forward to it. I'll be happy.
I don't know where the hotel is. We find out, I'll first call my people to say this is where I'm going.
All right. And Wing Commander Musa Salmanu, retired, Development, Peace and Security Expert. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria for today. It's a Friday, and of course, people are still in the mood of the Eid al-Kabir celebrations. So look after yourselves. Join us again on Monday, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I am Kirian Umayo. Do have a great weekend.